iOS 26 is almost here. I've been trying things out in the beta to see what's new. We've got a fresh new look, smarter automation tools, and some very welcome quality of life changes throughout the OS. So these are my top 5 new features, including one that might just be hinting at Apple's next big product. Welcome back guys, it's Shackington. Let's jump in at feature number 5 with communication, specifically the messages and phone apps. These are at the heart of what makes the iPhone a phone, even if they're probably not your most used apps these days. But in iOS 26, these both get some pretty solid updates. In messages, we're finally getting chat backgrounds, and this is a great way to give your conversations a bit more personality. There's some really nice animated options built in that have these colourful waves that gently move across the screen. It just gave me like instant lava lamp vibes when I first saw it. You can pick from some presets or customise the colours yourself. Or use themes like sky, water, and aurora, all of which have these really soft, peaceful animations inspired by nature. You can also set one of your own photos as a background to really make it more personal, or use Image Playground to generate a unique image with whatever vibe you're going for. It just adds a bit more life to your chats, and it's cool that Apple is letting us make these feel a bit more our own. But in case you're wondering, we still can't change the colour of the chat bubbles. On top of that, Messages now supports polls, finally bringing it up to speed with apps like WhatsApp. These come in especially useful in group chats where you're just trying to organise some plans or figure out when everyone's free. You can just drop in a poll and let everyone vote. Over in the phone app, this gets some really smart additions, taking some inspiration from Android. So the first is call screening, and I love this feature. Now when an unknown number calls you, your iPhone won't just ring straight away. Instead, it'll answer for you and ask the caller who they are and basically what they want with a transcription on screen, so then you can decide if or not you actually want to pick it up. It's a really smart way to deal with spam or unwanted calls. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've had a phone call asking if I've been in an accident that wasn't my fault. So hopefully this is going to handle that going forward. Then there's Hold Assist. So this detects when it hears some hold music on a call, and it will keep your place in the queue while you wait for a live agent. So you can go and do something else, you can put your phone away, and your iPhone will notify you when a real person is finally on the line. It's a simple idea and one that I think a lot of people are going to appreciate. Then in both apps, if you've got an iPhone with Apple Intelligence, it can now live translate a text conversation or a phone call in real time. And this looks so cool. I haven't had a chance to try this out yet, but this is going to be huge for anyone that does a lot of traveling. At number 4, one of my most used apps is the camera. This year, Apple's given it a bit of a subtle redesign. The new UI is even more minimal than before. The shooting modes like photo, video, portrait, and so on are now tucked away in this sliding carousel at the bottom, and as you interact with it, it expands to give you more options. It feels really clean and responsive, and I really like how it just gets out the way when you're not using it. At the top of the screen, there's now a tap to expand menu that lets you access all of your format settings in one go, and you can swipe up from the shooting mode to find all the options for things like the flash, timer, and photographic styles. Nice and easy to reach one-handed. This is neat. The camera can now detect if the lens is dirty. If it notices any smudges or debris, then it'll prompt you to give it a quick clean before you start shooting. Still no manual controls in the stock app. At this point, I have just kind of given up hoping that Apple is going to add these. So if you want those pro settings, Final Cut Camera is your best bet for now, but it is video only. I do have a video with all of my favourite third-party camera app recommendations with those controls, which I'll link to down below if you want to watch it after this. All right, feature number 3 is updates to Apple Intelligence. We've had this for about a year now, and it's safe to say it has been a bit of a mixed bag. Some things I have found to be genuinely useful, like the rewrite tools or notification summaries and cleanup in photos, as I've covered in my review, while others have been just a bit of a miss. Looking at you, Image Playgrounds, even in iOS 26, it is still generating the most cursed looking images of people I've ever seen. We also had visual intelligence, which allows you to take a photo and then learn about the thing that you're looking at with ChatGPT or Google, although to be honest, I haven't really been using that one that much. This year, you can now use visual intelligence to search the content on your screen, and I think this one's going to be a lot more popular. Now when you take a screenshot, you'll see this new UI with these 2 buttons in the lower corners, Like using the camera, one lets you send a question straight to ChatGPT, and the other does a reverse image search on Google. We could kind of do this before by asking Siri something like, what dog breed is this? And it would send a screenshot to ChatGPT. But this new way is much better implemented into the UI, and you can do it without having to speak to Siri. But here you can also just circle something specific in the screenshot, like a pair of trainers or a jacket or a landmark, and it'll search for just that thing. So this is basically Apple's version of Circle to Search from Android, but honestly, it works really well. It's super useful when you just stumble across something random and you want some answers without having to go on a little side quest. This does mean sending off your screenshot to ChatGPT or Google, but Apple does use their own on-device model to automatically recognize key information within the screenshot. It can recognize things like dates and phone numbers or addresses on screen, so you can add those events to your calendar or tap the number to call it without anything leaving your device. Stopping to take a photo of something isn't always the most convenient thing to do, but with screenshots, it is super quick and it doesn't break the flow. And I found myself using this a lot more than the original camera method, and I think you will too. Building on from all that, at number 2, we have shortcuts. This has had a really powerful update that now integrates with Apple Intelligence. Now, if you've never used it, Shortcuts basically lets you automate the stuff that you do on your phone all the time. You can combine actions from different apps and run them all at once with a single tap. In iOS 26, Shortcuts can now tap into Apple Intelligence, be that the on-device model, private cloud compute, or sending something off to ChatGPT. Apple has a few examples already in the app using their own models, like Morning Summary, which looks at the weather forecast for the day, all of your upcoming calendar events and incomplete reminders, and then presents them all in one place for a quick overview. And all this data is formatted simply by giving a written prompt of how you want it to look, literally telling Apple's cloud model to format it nicely with headers and bold text, along with which info you want to include. It is really easy to do. They've got a haiku example. You just give it a topic and it'll write you a little haiku. Document review compares 2 documents, giving you a summary of the differences between them. That's useful for comparing drafts. Or you can summarize a PDF, like a lengthy project brief. I actually took a note from the morning summary here, and I edited this to format the key points in a way that is easier to read. Then this one's pretty useful. With leftover recipes, you can tell it a few ingredients that you've got sitting in the fridge, and it will give you a recipe idea that uses them up, so you don't have to chuck them out. And this extends to the iPad and Mac, so if you're a student, you can use it to compare your written notes in a class to the recording you made and have it fill in any bits that you missed. You can really see how powerful and versatile this is, and the best part is you can choose which model that you want to use. Now, in my testing, I found ChatGPT handled the longer, more complex requests a bit better, but Apple's own model is great for quicker on-device tasks. It basically supercharges what Shortcuts can do, and I'm genuinely excited to see what things people will start building and sharing. And if all this sounds a bit overwhelming, then don't worry, you don't have to build anything yourself. You can always download a shortcut that someone else has made. Now, before we get to number 1, quick reminder, if you've been wondering about the wallpaper that I've been using, it's from my brand new pack called Aquarel 1. It's a collection of 10 handcrafted wallpapers designed for phones, tablets, and desktops. I made each one using Procreate on the iPad, and I'm really happy with how they turned out, even if I'm not the best at art. But if you like the look of them and you want to support the channel, then this is a great way to do it and get something nice in return. You can grab the full set right now over at jackington.com for $6. And if you're watching this, you can get 30% off with code Aquarel30 at the checkout. Also, my Flow 1 pack is back, and that one is completely free to download. And I've been working on a follow-up, Flow 2, which this time focuses on more abstract colour themes. That'll be another freebie, which I'll be releasing as a thank you once we hit 30k subscribers. So make sure you're subscribed if you want more free wallpapers. So feature number 1, I'm sure you probably guessed it, it is liquid glass. This brings a refresh to the entire UI and harmonizes the look across all of Apple's devices, from the Apple Watch to the Mac and everything in between. They also took the opportunity to sync up all of the version numbers, as these are going to take us through 2026. This new look is the first major redesign since iOS 7. If you're old like me, then you probably remember the jump from skeuomorphic textures to the flat design. and just how much of a big deal it was. Now, the switch to liquid glass isn't quite as dramatic as the leap from iOS 6 to 7, but it definitely brings a fresh new feel. It brings back some of that depth and detail that we lost in the flat design. The whole look is meant to mimic real glass with refractions and subtle movements that just give the interface this kind of dynamic, almost fluid-like quality. Then as you move around the UI, it reacts and bends and takes on the colour of whatever's behind it. On the lock screen, the time now has this transparent, more bubbly look, and you can stretch it down by dragging, and then it dynamically adjusts when you swipe up to view your notifications. It's super fluid and playful. On the home screen, all of the app icons have been redesigned with this layered glass effect, and it's a bit subtle on camera, but in person they have this like specular highlight on the edge as you move your phone around. It's really cool. I'm especially loving the new camera icon. It actually goes back to something more like what we had with the pre-iOS 7 look, which iOS 4 looked way better. And if you really want to go all out, there's this new all glass icon style that's honestly kind of insane, but in the best way. And it even works with third-party apps that haven't even been updated yet. It looks completely seamless. But nothing goes as hard as the new notification center. This whole pane now refracts and distorts the content behind it as you pull it down. You can even see the light splitting and bending across the glass, creating this really subtle chromatic aberration effect. It's so cool. It actually reminded me of the first time that I saw that old genie animation in macOS when you minimized a window. It has that same kind of playful vibe to it. I really like the whole look. It gives iOS a fresh sense of character without completely abandoning what came before. But it is not without some drawbacks. Those refractions do sometimes make it harder to see what you're actually doing. Icons can get lost, and text in notifications isn't always as readable as it should be. Even in Apple's own marketing shots and video, you can see that readability isn't always perfect. And things get even more wacky as you start to move between light and dark backgrounds, as the UI constantly shifts to maintain contrast. Sometimes it just gets a bit aggressive. Now, throughout the beta, Apple has been tweaking it, at one point leaning more into the frosted look, and then slowly bringing back some of the glassy style. So it is still evolving, and I wouldn't be surprised if it keeps getting refined even after release. Just like with iOS 7, which originally got a lot of flack for using those ultra-thin fonts that were also hard to read. You can head into settings and turn on reduced transparency, which does increase the readability by adding more of a frosted look. But overall, this new visual style is a bold step forward. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is maybe hinting at what's to come. There's something about this layered glass-like UI that almost feels like it's training us for something more immersive in future, maybe that extends out into the real world. So maybe this is laying the groundwork for the rumoured Apple AR glasses, but we'll have to wait and see. Those are some of the biggest changes, but there's also a bunch of little updates as well that I do think are worth mentioning. So in Messages, you can now select just part of a text bubble instead of the whole thing. And we now also have typing indicators in group chats. When your phone's charging, it will now show you how long is left until it is full. That is really useful and feels way overdue. You can now turn any image into a 3D spatial photo with a tap. It is a really cool effect, adding depth and movement, and you can even use these on your lock screen as well. In the clock, you can now customize the snooze duration. Yes, we finally have the technology. The iPhone now comes with a Games app, which is like this central hub for all of the games on your phone and Apple Arcade. And like the iPad, the iPhone gets the preview app from the Mac for opening PDFs and adding annotations. Then in CarPlay, calls no longer take up the whole screen. The new pop-up design keeps your maps visible, and we get live activities and some slick new wallpapers to tie everything in with the new glassy look. So that's my top 5 features in iOS 26, some really nice quality of life improvements to go with the new look. Let me know your favourites down in the comments. It's compatible with the iPhone 11 and later, so that is dropping support for the XS and XR, and it should come out around mid to late September, going by past releases. It's not just the iPhone, many of these features are also coming to the iPad as well, which is getting a whole wave of upgrades, borrowing some ideas from the Mac, and just making the iPad more capable and more productive than ever. And my new wallpapers, they go pretty great with that new UI, so remember to use that discount code. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe and hit the bell to see more tech videos from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.